an asshole. But I have to, because somebody's about to buy this coin, and this coin is fake. This was listed earlier for $14,500. A friend of mine, I'm not going to name the company, was thinking about purchasing it. He purchases a lot of gold Escudos and ran this one past me to ask my opinion on it. So just so you know, my background is in engraving, and my background is in die sinking. I don't want to use the word professional because it sounds totally egotistical, but I know what I'm talking about when it comes to die sinking and hand hobbing dies. It's something I know very well. I'm also almost 30 years into collecting and studying Spanish colonial cob coinage. I'm not very good with the quote-unquote milled coinage. I'm pretty good with the early colmenarios and the clips. Anything past that I'm not so great at. But when it comes to cobs, I've studied just about every single cob that there is known. I know them very well. I wouldn't be posting this video if I wasn't 100% sure and confident. So what I want to do is show this coin because this seller, who I have a feeling I know who it is already, has put this up on a quick blast for like a 24-hour auction. And the bidding is now up to $12.50, and it's probably going to change as we watch. We've got 17 bids. He's in our groups. We have several groups on Facebook, social media groups. I'm not going to name them anymore because people keep sneaking into them and spying and using that to basically herd their fake coins to different auction sites so they can sell these fake pieces of shit and get away with it. So this guy was looking for $14,500. Think about what kind of money that is, what that can do for a person, what their family is, to just get 3.4 grams of 22 karat gold struck from somebody's crappily engraved dies. So the thing I want to point out is the reason I know that this is a hand-cut die is because when dies are sunk with punches, the original dies, the real dies, something that cannot be duplicated no matter what, because they were done by hand. So point being is this letter 6 is actually the exact same numeral as the letter 9. So they would have taken this letter punch 6, they would have flipped it and made a 9. And so on. So when this would have been punched into the die, what happens is the metal is not being taken away from the die. It's not being engraved away, scooped away, like you carve a pumpkin. It's like sticking your finger into Play-Doh. That Play-Doh is not being removed, it's being pushed aside. So what happens is it creates what I call like a halo effect. And you can see that here because I know exactly what he did with the dots. So you can see that there's this little round indention, this incuse indention around that dot. That should be around every single element on the coin because they were hand punched into a steel die. So that metal is being pushed away from each element that goes onto the coin. So somebody basically just looked at an original piece and copied it the best they could to make it look like that piece that they were studying. So we have obviously two completely different fonts for the 6-9 here, which should be exactly the same. The L font is wrong, the castle doesn't look right, everything looks to be about even here as far as the engraving goes. So I'm guessing the engraving wasn't hand engraved, it was done with a machine, something like that, just so it had an equal depth. Then we have a 7 over a 6. Again, doesn't match. It's just so poorly done, it's ridiculous. Let me go to the reverse. And I haven't even got to like counting the dots yet. There should be, I think if I remember off the top of my head, there's about 39 dots and then 40 total if you count the one over the castle. You can see here, he has a little double struck, but these lines are not exactly straight. And so what that tells you is that is engraved versus being punched in. That punch would look a lot like a chisel because it's just a straight line. So it would have been laid down a line, laid down a line. Quattrolobes, quatrefoils do not match either. And you can't count the dots on this side. So let me pull up an authentic piece and we'll do a side-by-side comparison. So going back to the halo effect that I'm talking about. See how this numeral 7, now look at this 7, look at this 7. You see how this numeral 7 is pushed up on this castle foot, but it has not here? And these are supposed to be from the same dies. The reason that this castle foot is arched like that is the halo effect. So basically what happened was when this was punched in, the metal was pushed away. So the castle was laid first, then obviously we had the 7 and the date most likely laid down after the castle, and it pushed up on that castle. You can also see here too where the punch has this low relief area. Think of it like a letter set, like you buy a letter set to punch steel, and it's been hand carved. So I'm getting interrupted. Hang on. So you can see the difference anyway. This is all flat. This is just the flat surface of the coin. It doesn't show any of the actual punch, which should be there underlying the initial cutting of the punch that stamped the dies. Now we can look at the L. We can compare the L. Totally different fonts. Yeah, it's a little bit doubled here. Doesn't matter. Look at the serif. Technically, it's not a serif, but the serif on the top of the L is completely different. The letter H, also completely different, far too wide. And here, if you look very carefully, let me see if I can maybe blow this up a bit. Yeah, I can. That's good. You can actually see that this thin line here is not so much a thin line. Think of it like looking down on a map, like a mountain. You can see how it goes out. You see these shadows? That's actually metal that is sticking up because that's the way the punches were. Just like on a letter stamp, you'll see that it's beveled a certain way so it can strike into the metal and leave that impression. And that is on all original, authentic coins. We're seeing that again here all the way around the castle. You can see that when they engraved it, they made this tooth-like tower, and the window, same thing. And then, especially with silver coins, like on the halo effect, the shadows or the toning will always catch in this low relief, because on the die, this is actually a raised piece of metal, but when it gets onto the coin, it's actually incused. So there's a big difference here. You can see it here as well. You can see, whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. You can see where the metal is pushed away on the actual die. It's pushed away versus being scooped out. So let me try to blow this guy up. See if I can blow it up here. Maybe I can't. That's too bad. We can get it at least this big and do our side-by-sides. Look at the difference. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's so... I mean, it's fairly good if you're new to this, and that's why it's dangerous, but it's also, in my opinion, it's very poorly done. It's just not good. So another thing, too, you can look for the castle windows, for example. You see how they're the same kind of, the same beveling? You can see here, the very tip of this is actually, it's like a, not a spearhead, but, well, kind of like a spearhead. There's this sharp edge here, so it's beveling down, and then it bevels out all around. There's nothing like that on this castle. Then this would have been engraved out. Same deal here for the castle door. So different. I mean, they're so completely, vastly different. Now let's look at the numerals. You can see that this one's just been stamped over, and this is why I know that he probably used, most likely, this coin as the coin to copy from. Because you can see that this is the exact same numeral. The problem is that when it was struck, it was double struck, so the tip of this 9/6 is missing, and so they shorted it on here. You can see that they're nothing alike. Even when we look at the holes, the loops, he copied that as well. So you can see it's a little bit bigger here because of the strike. It's a little bit smaller here because this one's a little bit more worn, or the punch just didn't take as well. So he copied that. So we got the small hole, we have the large hole. Now we'll move over to where they tried to duplicate this 7/6. Look at this, completely different font. So my guess would be probably printed it out on a piece of paper, traced it, which can be tricky. Cut the 7 a bit short. Completely got that wrong. Poorly engraved a 6 under there to make it look like a 6 was erased to replace the date. Now here's another big thing. I don't know if I doubt it, but anybody that's ever bought like cold rolled steel or a steel stock, when it's cut, it leaves these little hairlines on it. You can see this on most faked coins, or even replicas that are hammer struck from modern steel. These lines. It's not a whole lot of them. And then the next thing I'll note too is just that this was clearly made from drawing a bead of gold and hammer striking it from that bead of gold versus cutting it from a bar, which these coins, despite being quite round, were done. And the color, of course, is very different. He's posted some new pictures trying to prove that the coin's real. The next thing I'm going to look at is the dots. So right here, there's an interesting tell here. Is the dots are looking like a pair of butt cheeks because he punched them in too close together. So what it looks like he did here is, because these dots are slightly higher than everything else, is when he or she, whoever made this, cut this die, what they did was they took a round burr and they drilled in little round burr holes, and they most likely tapped those out with a simple round punch, and you can actually get in a letter set to make the dots look a little more legitimate. And that's why they're a little higher, that's why they're placed the way they are, and that's why this one in particular has that halo around it. You wouldn't get that from drilling it into a coin. And you can't say this is a weakly struck coin because it doesn't make any sense. Now if the punch had been punched into the dies weakly, that's certainly possible, but there's the only one known specimen of 1697/06. And I'm using just one example here from AC Search, which is a great website if you ever need to compare coins. Now I got to say that not all of the coins on that site are always authentic, so make sure you look at the notes as well. So next we'll look at the other side of the coin. Oh, I should actually point this out as well. This is important because I almost forgot it. Okay, so where the dot placement actually is. Oh crap, let's see if I can move this. Here we go. Notice how this dot is in between these two dots here, and this dot is directly underneath this dot. Where are our butt cheeks? These butt cheek dots that are over here by this poorly made H. More importantly, I'm not seeing it. Where is the compass line? All Lima coins, and just about every single Cobb coin, has a compass line. And what I'm referring to is, it's hidden now, but they would have taken the die, they would have found the center of the die, they would have tapped a small little round dot into the center of the die, and they would have used a compass to trace out a perfect circle, map out the coin that they were going to create, and those lines are typically hidden underneath the borders that they create. So you can see here on the real piece, we have, maybe it's going to be a little more visible. Well, you can see it here just well enough, these lines, and those lines are our compass lines. They don't exist here on this piece. And again, I could count the dots. I don't know if I feel like doing it. There should be 30. There's going to be about 39 dots, I believe, on the original. I don't know how many are here because it's flat, so it might be pointless to do that anyway. And lastly, of course, the color is off. I guarantee you on a XRF of this coin, it would come back with stuff that's just not found in the Lima gold coinage. It just wouldn't. So, okay, getting to the cross side. I'm going to probably have to switch things around just a tiny bit here. Move it over about like that. Alright. Again, let's have a look. So, on the original one, we have our quatrefoil. We can see a bit where it's been doubled, but these would have been simple, like almost ear-shaped, like a C, a letter C almost, a punch. This would have been punched in. And we can see here by looking at the original how it's raised, how it's beveled. None of that is going on. When we look at these, we can see that I can actually even see the engraving lines, which is crazy. I didn't even notice that the first time I looked at it. Gravers tend to leave a funny little line. I mean, they tried, they tried to make a pretty convincing fake, but this is the most commonly faked coin in the gold series of colonial Cobb coinage, is this particular coin. It's faked beyond belief. It's insane. So, looking at it, I guess we could say that this is rotated any number of ways, so trying to match these dots could be a little bit difficult, but what I'm really looking for is like the overlaps, which I'm not seeing. So let me see if I could maybe find a slightly better example of the 1697/06. No, not that one. I just looked at one of these not long ago, an authentic one. This was really pretty. Um, that one's pretty decent. No, it's the same one again. So we'll pull this one up for reference. It looks like it's at a bit of an angle. So we're looking at this again. This is authentic. See, this one's a little... Well, is this the same coin, actually? No. No, maybe it is. Yeah, it is. It's just rotated, so we're looking at the exact same coin. Never mind. So let's pull this one up. I don't know how I feel about this piece at all. In fact, I'm not going to use this as a reference. There's something not right with this coin whatsoever. This one's something I'm going to have to investigate later. That's weird. I don't like the look of that. The other thing we can do is we can pull up like a 1697 8 reals or 8 escudos and look at the castle type. Because one of the great things, we can even pull up a half real and compare the letter fonts, because the mints reused everything on all the different denominations. If they fit, they used it. Let's blow this up a tiny bit. So here we go. Oh, don't want that to happen. I'm sorry, I have it cropped because my desktop is a mess and I don't really want to be showing everything on the desktop, which I probably am doing anyways. Yeah, song ideas, that's right, I like music and I do stuff, so ignore that. Okay, here we go. So we're looking at a 1697 8 escudos. See what I'm talking about? Same castle. Of course, you got to allow, because the strike of the coin is going to always vary a bit, make things look a little weird from strike to strike. Probably better to look at a 1697/6 variety more so than this one. I'm just trying to give you a basic idea. So I'm not finding another example, and I should have a photo of mine. I'm not sure where I would have it on the computer. I have it on the phone. So we could look at, I guess, at like the one. We could also look at the half real, but I have it. Yeah, I got it pulled up for 1697 Lima. So anyway, I'm having a fit because of this piece of crap being up on here, and we're now at $2,650. This is how fast it's going, and just the time that I have started moaning about this coin. As I said, I have a pretty good idea who the seller is. Anyway, if you are the one that bid this, you need to return it because it's fake. And yeah, I mean, I wrote this guy, and I was actually trying to be polite to him, to tell him that the coin was fake, and you know, whoever he got it from, he should probably talk to about getting a refund because he got burnt. So anyway, fairly convincing fake, but it's fake 100%. And it's being addressed in the group, of course, and I'm going to have this thing shut down as soon as I can. So anyway, making a video because just in case it comes off eBay into a different channel, you know, sometimes what happens is the high bidder, say this ends right now at 3,000, a lot of the times the bidder will reach back out to the seller and wonder what happened and try to make a deal, and that deal happens. It just happened on a 1713 4 escudos, sorry, 2 escudos, Mexico mint that we shut down that was fake. And anyway, I'm going to shut it down. I should probably show the listing. And of course, well, here is a buddy of mine, so what I'll do actually really quick is pull up his. Trying to see where the return policy is on this one. I'm guessing there's no returns. Nope, no returns. So you cannot return this coin once you buy it. So What I'm going to do, just real quick before I shut this down, looks like I may have went too far. Yeah, I did. So keep an eye on a lot of things. This is a pair of dies that are fake. Don't get any ideas, guys. Just don't do it. The 50 Real Pistarine. This old museum dies. People have been buying those, and they've been stamping out fakes. And I can't remember if his was a 7/6 or not. So I'm going to find out in about 2 seconds. Yeah, it is. So here's Joe's. And look at that. Criminy, it's the same coin, isn't it? Yeah, it is. I didn't realize that. Same one. Anyway, there's an authentic one. If you want an authentic one, make him an offer. Buy a real one. No one that is authentic. Don't buy this fake piece of crap. Anyway, I guess that's a little shout out to him there. That's an authentic coin. This one we were just comparing to this fake one. Very, very nice coin, as a matter of fact. But yeah, again, let me see if I can blow this up. You can see how it's still coming off the coin here. You can see this halo effect around the lettering, all around the castle, all around this dot, all around this H. You can see that this 6 from the original date was actually erased. This is actually a better picture than the one in the auction listing. We have the halo effect all the way around the dots. We have rust on the actual die itself. You can see the rust. You can see how there's this incused valley, this crater here. That is from the halo effect. You can see where the 6 pushed up on the foot of the castle here. You can see that there's this crater all the way around it. One of the neat things about Cobbs that I really like in these old hammer-struck hand-sunk dies is you can rub your finger across these coins and they're going to feel smooth to the touch. It's because of the way they were sunk. If you rub your finger across a modern coin where the metal was removed from the actual dies, it's kind of like reading Braille. You can actually feel the details. But on a coin like this, you kind of have to use your fingernail just to get it in between these little mountains, because this is a little mountain here. I know it's kind of hard to see, but that's what it is. Anyway, this is actually a great coin. And they are scarce. Yeah, these do look a lot like teeth. It's weird. Okay, so that's it. There's a fake one on eBay. It's selling for a lot of money right now, and I'm going to have it shut down. And just in case, this is the listing. This is the seller, old treasures coins, or old _treasures _coins with a feedback of 148, saying that they're out of Kentucky with $10 shipping. And this just looks wrong in all sorts of ways. I'm going to try to get a click of this here. It's a pretty convincing one, though. I'll tell you that. If you don't know these coins well enough, you're taking a huge risk. You need to talk to people that know these coins. You really do, and everybody's very friendly. So reach out and talk to somebody. If it's even Sedgwick, drop them an email and just say, "Hey, does this coin look okay to you?" If he says no, then it's probably in your best interest to stay away from it. And then there's a number of groups that you can reach out to. So anyway, well, there's one fake, there's always another. And so mark my words, there's going to be another one of these that pops up. It's going to be of the same exact die. It's going to have these little butt cheek bubble dots. It's going to be very poorly sunk, and the planchet's going to look different. But there's absolutely going to be another one of these out there. Yeah, so that's it. That's all I got to say about it. I'm sick of seeing this shit. $2,650. It's going to hit 5 to 10 in a matter of hours. So.